The budget cap has been one of the main talking points in the previous season, and now that Red Bull are suffering from the consequences of breaking the budget cap, we'll probably hear a lot about it in this season as well. So even before the season has begun, Red Bull's team boss made sure to grab the spotlight again and dedicated a better part of an interview to it, in which he revealed he still isn't too happy about all that's happening. Stay tuned to find out what Horner had to say about the penalty and the rules, and surprisingly enough, it wasn't all negative. To start off, Red Bull's punishment for violating Formula 1 budget cap limitation rules is significantly limiting their car development this winter, according to Christian Horner. The budget cap was originally implemented for the 2021 season. Although it was discovered midway through the next season, the Red Bull had committed a small overrun. According to FIA data, they exceeded the limit by 1.6%, which was reduced to 0.37% when a tax credit was applied. The governing authority penalized Red Bull $7 million and took away 10% of their wind tunnel time over a 12-month period for their violation. The team is currently serving the punishment while simultaneously preparing their vehicle for the 2023 season. In an interview, team principal Horner explained his team is feeling the effects of the punishment. He said, "We're probably 25% almost of the way through that penalty, and of course it has an effect. It's limiting significantly the amount of runs that we can do in our wind tunnel over each quarter. And I think that the team, they're having to adapt to that. And it just means you have to be a bit more focused and more disciplined in what we put through the testing process within the tunnel or within our simulation tools. So it's another challenge, and it's a handicap for sure coming into this year, but we've got very capable people that are looking to obviously extract the best that we possibly can and apply ourselves in the most efficient and effective way." The punishment was issued in October, just before the Mexican Grand Prix weekend. Horner reluctantly accepted it. In a news conference, he warned the draconian punishment would have an enormous impact on his team. But even though the punishment would be a big letdown for the team, Horner sees the potential the rules provide, as they were implemented to make the playing field more level and cut out needless overspending. Thus, Christian Horner has backed Formula 1's budget restriction despite a $7 million punishment and a 10% decrease in aerodynamic development time. Horner has previously advocated for adjustments to the budget cap, citing inflation, the COVID-19 pandemic, and other things as reasons for additional spending. He also stated in December that the lesser F1 teams have too great a voice, implying that he's not the level playing field champion as some might expect. What are your thoughts on Horner's comments about the budget cap in recent years? Let us know in the comment section down below. However, Horner appears to favour the budget cap in its idea of producing more equitable sport overall. The good impact of the measures implemented 2 years ago is being seen as we begin the third season under more stringent spending regulations. I think the principle of it is great and it's driven efficiency, the Red Bull boss said. If I look at the business now, compared to where it was 4 or 5 years ago, we'd have ended up with a lot of stock of spare parts that were brand new that had never been used and then they're just scrap. And so now you just can't afford to have that. You've got to be so effective and efficient. So I think from that point of view, it's driven great efficiency into the business. It's got rid of that wastage that was there that nobody saw previously. F1's budget cap debuted in 2021 with a maximum cost of $145 million, after several teams allegedly spent more than $400 million every season. The sum was decreased to $140 million in 2022, and has since dropped to $135 million for the following campaign. The restricted spending cap hasn't stopped Red Bull from winning back-to-back titles, as Max Verstappen has led the team's revival to the top of F1. When it comes to refining the still very immature hat, their team principal isn't short of ideas. So they're still evolving and being tuned, and as they're being introduced into the power unit side of the business as well, I think principally it is a good thing for Formula 1, and it does create a more level playing field, added Horner. I think there's certain elements that still need to be tuned. At the moment, we're seeing a discrepancy between chassis financial regs and engine financial regs, that on the chassis side, they can have a Christmas party. On the power unit side, they can't. So there's certain things that I think need balancing up, so there is a consistency across those caps. But I think on the whole, it's a very positive thing. I think perhaps there's still too much weight put upon them in that we're still designing very expensive engines and very expensive cars, because the technical regs drive you towards that. And I think the technical and sporting regs, I think particularly on the chassis for 2026, We need to look more at the cost drivers which are driven through those technical regs, which will then in turn put less pressure on the budget cap itself. What are your thoughts? Should the regulations receive more changes? And what about the budget cap? Is it good as it is? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. While Horner stole the spotlight in the news with his interview, something interesting happened behind closed doors at Red Bull. As we all know, they will reveal their new 2023 challenger this Friday, but there have been some interesting things happening in the background of F1, as Red Bull might appear to reveal a brand new partnership at their season launch. Because Ford Motor Company is sending social media influencers to New York on the same days that Red Bull will be in the city for its season premiere event, fueling suspicion that the two massive companies would collaborate. Ford has a long history in Formula One, but has been gone for some years. Their most recent engagement was in the early 2000s through their Jaguar brand, although they had little success after purchasing Stewart Grand Prix Racing and sold the team to Red Bull near the end of 2004. However, F1's current boom appears to have encouraged ideas of a comeback. Several big automakers are considering becoming engaged in the sport, with Ford at the top of the list. Mark Rushbrook, chief of Ford's performance business, recently revealed that getting back into F1 requires consideration. Ford is interested in the Drive to Survive series because of the marketing benefits and the large new audience it will reach. According to sources, Ford and Red Bull have been in negotiations and a deal is likely, albeit no pen has been put to paper. All indications point to their relationship being officially announced during the season opening ceremony on Friday, February 3rd. It is unclear how comprehensive the collaboration will be. Ford is not known to have signed up for the 2026 power unit standards. However, Red Bull has invested much in developing their own powertrain section, and already has a partnership with Honda. These reasons imply that Ford may not participate as an engine partner. However, this has to be seen. The media believes that Red Bull has opted to hold their season launch event in the United States for reasons other than discussions with Ford. Their intentions for New York predate negotiations with the automaker. The proposed partnership between Ford and Red Bull comes after the team's previous discussions with Porsche fell apart. The actual reasons why the arrangement was never finalized are unknown, but Porsche stated that they still want to be a part in F1 and will investigate alternative options. The arrival of Ford, the second largest manufacturer in the United States, into F1 may be followed soon by the market leader. General Motors is also interested in getting involved in the sport and has negotiated a contract with Andretti Autosport through their premium Cadillac brand if they're granted permission to build an 11th F1 team. So tell us, what are your thoughts on this sudden appearance? Do you like to see Ford back in F1? Although together with Red Bull, it would probably only be a name sponsorship. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. It will be interesting to see how their launch will unfold. We for one can't wait until the season gets started.